Okay, I was getting very hopeful that this was full of chocolate, but I was wrong. There was just anyway. Okay, let's get going. So, question number 1. Dear Ajahn, my bosses have treated me quite unkindly. I have tried my best to meet expectations, yet I'm still not good enough. I am tired and I try to let go, yet I'm not at peace. What can I do to look after my peace, my conduct, and my own self-worth? Thank you. Yeah, Billy suggesting change your job. That is not a bad answer. I have to admit, I sort of concur with Billy a little bit. Sometimes people are difficult. They don't have the kindness and that you deserve. Yeah. And sometimes you have no choice. So sometimes changing your job is maybe the only way. However, maybe that is not so easy. What is this? Water. Okay, water is also handy. Yeah, thank you. Sadhu. Thank you. Nice to see you again. So, quitting the job is often good because sometimes, there is no choice, and you have tried your very best. And some people are really unreasonable, and they are not nice. They are fools, right? So, and you shouldn't hang out with fools anyway. So maybe quitting the job is good for many reasons, not only for your mental health, your physical health, but also for your spiritual health as well. Yeah, hanging out with fools, bad idea. However, sometimes it can be hard to change your job, and I recognize that as well. Sometimes there may not be any obvious other jobs that we can take. Sometimes we are dependent on the income. It's very dangerous to be dependent on others in that way, but sometimes we end up being dependent. We have a mortgage to pay, and I don't know how things are here in Malaysia. I don't really know that much about life in Malaysia, but I know what it is like everywhere else, so presumably the same thing in Malaysia. So then you have to make the best of it, whatever you can. And one of the ways is don't try to live up to other people's expectations. This is causing you a lot of the suffering. Do what is appropriate. Do what is kind of written in your work contract. Do your part. Be responsible, but don't try to live up to unreasonable expectations. If your bosses are not satisfied with you, shrug your shoulders and say, okay, sorry, that's your problem, you're dissatisfied. Yeah, it's not my problem. And that is okay. If you are doing a good job, then probably they won't fire you anyway. It's probably just that they always want more and squeeze you completely dry. So that's okay. And then you can stand your ground and just recognize that your boss is a fool. Why should you follow what fools say? Why should you allow yourself to be manipulated by people who are not wise? And so you don't live up to the expectations. And if at the end of the day they fire you, so be it. Good riddance. Yeah, they fired me. Yay, I'm fired. Hooray, I achieved my goal. I got out of that job. But don't allow yourself to be manipulated too much. Don't follow what other foolish people say, and then you get some kind of peace with it. At the end of the day, if you can, even have compassion for your bosses. They are probably driven by other bosses in turn that require a certain return on the investment, and they want a certain percentage, profit or whatever it is. And so everyone is driven by something else. And often they are also as much slaves as you are. And so, try to have compassion for them as well. And if you can have compassion for them, then you can, more easily say no if they demand something from you. Because then you understand, actually, they are also in an impossible situation just like you. So don't allow yourself to be bullied around too much. Stand your ground sometimes. Sometimes there's no other choice. And if you then lose your job, hopefully you can afford to lose your job, then okay, no big deal. Something like that. It's easy to say for me because I have a really good job. I don't have to worry about this. For me, it's kind of really easy. So I have a pretty good boss, I have to say. Yeah. Okay, so dear Ajahn, is reading the sutta a form of meditation? Reading the sutta is a form of Buddhist practice, but it's not really meditation. So it is Buddhist practice because it is the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path that we perfect and we develop by reading the suttas. The first factor is right view, yeah? And that is what we get from reading the suttas. We try to understand the world in the right way. And that is a very, very important part of the Noble Eightfold Path and of practice. It will lead to meditation down the track because you get the right values, you get the right priorities, you can choose in a better way. That is kind of the idea of reading the suttas. And so it will lead to not only good meditation, it will lead to good morality, good generosity, clearer insight, less anger, more metta, more karuna. All of these things flow out of reading the suttas, getting an understanding of the world, how it is impermanent, why you should let it go, why you find a refuge in meditation practice. All of these things come out of reading the suttas. So that is what it really is about, yeah? Right view, right understanding, and that is what matters. So it's part of Buddhist practice, but I wouldn't call it meditation. Meditation is when you sit down, close your eyes, and you watch your breath. That's meditation. Meditation is not when you go back home and you're washing your dishes and you have mindfulness and clear comprehension. Yeah, you are doing everyday satipatthana. To me, that's not really meditation. I know some people call that meditation, but it's not really meditation. Yeah, that is just being mindful of what you're doing and then overcoming any negative thoughts that arise at that time. That's really all it is. Meditation is when you cross your legs or you sit on a chair and you watch your breath or you develop metta or whatever. That's the real meditation. It doesn't matter what we call these things. The most important thing is that you're doing something which aligns with the Noble Eightfold Path. Hi Ajahn, if there is no self, where does conscience come from? So conscience is like a natural phenomenon. Conscience just arises because that's how the mind works. If you do something bad, the mind works in such a way that conscience arises. Yeah, so you don't need a self for conscience, it's just an automatic process. Do bad, ding, conscience arises. Oh no, yeah, you feel bad about yourself, or you feel bad about your non-self, quite literally. Yeah, you just feel bad about things. And so this is the problem. A lot of the part of the problem is our experience of the self. We have the illusion of a self, and that is a big part of the problem. Because we have the illusion, we blame ourselves. Oh no, I did it. Then you blame yourself. If you understand the nature of non-self in a human being, you won't blame yourself anymore, because there is no one to blame. Yeah. You know how it is said in the suttas that if you become a stream winner, stream enterer, you cannot be reborn in the bad destination? That's why, because you can't blame yourself anymore. If you understand that everything is just cause and conditions, why would you blame yourself? The reason you blame yourself, and one of the reasons why you have a conscience, is because of the illusion of a self. Not because there is a self, but because of the illusion of a self. That's why you blame yourself. That's part of why you fall into that problem. So if you are able to gain a little bit of understanding into non-self, by understanding how conditioned you are, you start blaming yourself less. Yeah, you start having more compassion for yourself. Wow, I'm just a product of everything happening around me. Why am I blaming myself? Yeah, it's just what happens when you are a human being. You have past lives, you have parents, you have school, you have all of these people conditioning you. Of course I'm going to do stupid things. I'm a stupid person. Why are you stupid? Because you've been conditioned to be not stupid, but silly. Yeah, not really understanding. None of you are stupid in that sense, but you are just, misguided sometimes. Why? Because you have been conditioned by misguided conditioning. So of course you're going to be misguided. What do you expect? So non-self doesn't change anything. The illusion is the problem. See through the illusion, and many of these issues just fall away here. If you wish to follow up on anything I say, you are very welcome to do so. So please grab the microphone and do what needs to be done, as they say. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned that a wise person treats others with kindness. Do kind people make good decisions? Are they competent at work? My boss treats people with friendliness, but as a boss, he is incompetent and frustrates us with his lack of clarity and decisiveness. So is my boss a fool too, even though he has kindness? How can I look after my own conduct without going nuts? Thank you. Well, in a sense, if your boss is incompetent, probably you are far better off than someone who has a competent boss who treats you badly. Yeah, that is much worse. At least he's treating you with kindness. If anyone is to blame for him being incompetent, it is the one boss even higher up who hired him into that position, right? You should blame them for kind of doing that, yeah? So blame that person instead. So I think you are probably, remember that why is he in that position? Well, it's not his fault, again, that he is in that position. Someone else put him there. So, why be upset with that boss because he's incompetent? He's just kind of, that's just the way he is, incompetent. And that's okay. Some people in the world have to be incompetent. What is that old saying? That people go up the hierarchy until you rise to the level of your incompetence or something, and you stop kind of going up the hierarchy or something like that. And that's kind of how the world usually works. So, do kind people make good decisions? Remember that it depends on what is the area of life we're talking about. Now, we are talking here about the Buddhist path, and so we're talking about a good decision from a Buddhist point of view. It's about the spiritual life. Are you making spiritually good decisions? And that is the most important thing. If you're making spiritually good decisions, you will become more happy. You become more balanced. You become a better meditator. You become more dear to the people around you. Would you like to be dear to the people around you? Or would you like people to hate you? If you want people to hate you, you can leave this retreat. Because here you will learn how to get people to love you. So, of course, we would like to be liked. It's nice to be liked. It's nice to have a good relationship with people around us. But we shouldn't be addicted to that either, because if you get addicted to it, you start making stupid decisions as well. So, just if from the spiritual point of view, a kind person, a good-hearted person makes good spiritual decisions. But that does not mean they make good worldly decisions, because that's a completely different game. That takes a completely different kind of understanding. Are you going to be a good business person who makes good decisions? Sometimes those decisions might be cheating, because it gives your company more kind of a better bottom line. If you cheat a little bit, reduce your taxes below the allowable minimum, don't kind of whatever it is that you do to do that. That might be called a good business decision, but a bad moral decision. So you are destroying your spiritual life while improving your business life. Is that worth it? No, of course not, because you are destroying something far more valuable, which is your spiritual life. That is what is of real value. Your business life, okay, you have it for a while, you enjoy it while you're here, but then you're gone, and then you get bad rebirth as a consequence. Is that worth it? Of course not. It's a long-term, it's a short-term good investment, but a long-term really bad investment. And be long-term investors. This is kind of such an important point. The Buddha was the ultimate long-term investor. They don't understand anything about long-term investment, in the world. This talk about long-term investment on the stock market, 10 years, 20 years, that's not long-term investment. 20 lifetimes, that's long-term investment. Think about these things in long term. Then you become a moral, good and kind person, because you know what is really good for you. And that which is good for you is also good for others. So he frustrates you with lack of clarity and decisiveness. It's a small frustration in the world. It's nothing. You can pick up the slack maybe a little bit, and do and kind of take up that problem. So just try to look at it differently. Yeah, the fact that you have a kind boss, actually, it's a wonderful thing. So many people suffer through having difficult bosses, and so see it in that way instead. I mean, sometimes I get frustrated with Ajahn Brahm. He's a really kind boss, but sometimes he refuses to make certain decisions, and I get frustrated. Why? Because I am stupid. That's why. So because Ajahn Brahm is like this, I told you before, he always procrastinates, right? And actually he's right about that. Yeah, procrastination is good. It's the right thing. But sometimes it's frustrating. Why? Because we want things to get done. We want results. We want things to happen. Yeah, you can't just wait. So he is right, I'm wrong. And then I suffer because I'm stupid. All right. Say again? It's good if you learn from it. But if you're frustrated, don't learn. It's bad. So be frustrated and then learn. Yeah? Learn, okay, I should be more patient. Yeah. Dear Ajahn, number 1. If the Middle East war blows into World War III, what's the best thing that we can do for ourselves? How to get young people to be more involved in Buddhist societies. Most societies are full of older people. Not everyone here is ancient. Yeah, it's kind of some of you are more kind of, there's no one really young, I can't see anyone really young, but some middle-aged, some older people. Over there, that's right, yeah, yay, 21, wow, that's really cool, okay. We have to import them from overseas though, which is a bit unfortunate. We should have some local 21s as well, not just imported ones. So, what is the best thing we can do for ourselves if World War III happens? Well, remember that your future is not determined by what happens in the world. This is what I was saying before. This is the beauty of the Dhamma. Your future is determined by how you live your life. Why aren't all the young people here? Surely they want to know that too. Okay, is this being recorded, Venerable Piyadasi? Okay, all the young people, yeah. If there's World War III, this is where the real action is. This is where how you learn how to deal with World War III. If you happen to see this and you are young means, what does a young mean? Anywhere between 15 and 40? I don't know, whatever it might be. This is the real action. If you want to know how to deal with, how to be resilient, how to be independent in the face of all the problems in the world, you're missing out on the action. Yeah. Next time we hope to see you around. I don't know if any youngsters will watch this video, but if they do, maybe they will come next time. Because that is the only way to be resilient. Yeah, learning inner strength. And then it's amazing what you can deal with. An external phenomena, what happens in the world, will affect you far, far less. If you become fully enlightened, you will be completely unaffected by the external world. Because it doesn't matter to you if you get killed. If you get killed, okay, great, get out of this problem. Yeah, no more problems in the future. So building up the inner qualities. The Buddha talks about this at fairly great length, especially in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the Buddha is about to die, Venerable Ananda starts to grieve, and he loses his sense of direction, he forgets about the Dhamma, all of these kind of things. And the Buddha tells him, haven't I told you that everything that is dear and agreeable to you must change, must become otherwise? Everything that is dear and agreeable to you, the world not being in World War III, that's dear and agreeable to you. The world being in World War III is not agreeable to you, right? It is not nice to have World War. In fact, it's very bad to have World War III. So what does the Buddha say? Haven't I told you everything must change? Of course there is going to be World War III. Of course. Did we really think otherwise? Sometimes we are so foolish. We think that society is progressing in a certain way. After World War II, people in Europe were saying, never again. That's because they weren't Buddhist. If they had been Buddhist, they would have said, oh yeah, again, and again, and again. Yeah, never again is a foolish doctrine, because it means you don't understand impermanence. But you can see why they said that. They said that because actually a world war is a very painful thing. But you cannot promise never again. That's impossible. The world changes. Those who were the first generation after World War II, they knew how terrible war is. But then you forget about that. And the present generation, they have no idea what it's like to live in war. And so because of that, okay, fine, let's, the same old defilements, the same old problems re-arise. This goes round and round and round. World War III, World War IV, World War V, World War VI, World War 100, World War 1000, World War 1,000,000. When are you going to have enough of all these world wars? How many world wars have you already seen going back far enough in your lives? Far too many. Aren't you fed up with world wars? Aren't you fed up with dying, getting old, getting sick? Aren't you fed up with these lives that just go round and round without purpose, without destination? The Dhamma gives you real purpose. It gives you real destination. The world does not. That is the difference. So practice the spiritual path. The Buddha says to Ananda, haven't I told you that everything that is dear and agreeable to you must become separated from you, must become otherwise? You should take yourself as a refuge. You should take the Dhamma as a refuge. How? By practicing the 4 Satipatthanas. The 4 Satipatthanas is meditation practice. It is going inside of yourself. It is finding peace, happiness, joy, all the good qualities within. Inside of yourself, no one can take that away from you, because inside of yourself is separate from the world outside. That is why that is a real refuge, because it depends on you and your practice. It depends on the Dhamma and how you live your life. You become your own refuge. The Dhamma becomes your refuge. And the deeper you take that meditation, the deeper is your refuge. And to be able to do that, you have to do all the things on the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. So, to all the young people out there, you are missing out. This is where the action is. This is where you learn how to live with meaning, with purpose, overcoming the problems of the world. That is what the Dhamma promises you. This is why the Buddha taught this path. It taught this path precisely to deal with the problems of the world. So if the world is becoming more problematic, this is where you should be. I don't understand. We are not getting the message out. Maybe it's our fault for not marketing. I always talk about marketing the Dhamma, but we don't seem to be getting anywhere. So I'm not sure why. Yeah, because it is such a beautiful and profound teaching. I don't know. We need to sit down with someone who is kind of good at dealing with young people. I said to Niwern that maybe you can help out. Niwern was, oh no, I'm too old already, said Niwern. Okay then. We have to, find out how, because to me there is so many beautiful teachings here, and so much power in the Dhamma that we should really be able to get it out there. So that's kind of dealing with World War III and how to get the young people more involved. Yeah. So basically, it is about finding about the concerns of young people, and those concerns, guaranteed, they can be met through the Dhamma, because all concerns that have to do with dukkha and problems in the world can be dealt with through the Dhamma. So guaranteed, it can be done. We just have to package it in the right way. We have to steal their mobile phones. Yeah, if you know any young people with mobile phones, steal it and throw it in the nearest river, because they are too distracted to be able to even think clearly. Maybe this is part of the problem. Too distracted by things in the world, and maybe that. No, I'm just joking. I don't steal any mobile phone. That's just I'm just messing around. But you know what I mean? Yeah, that distraction. And the more dukkha you have, the more world wars there are, the more you go into your mobile phone, because you don't want to know about reality. You want to hide on the internet somewhere, because that is the only refuge you know about. It is no refuge at all. It is a fake refuge. Still, that's where people go. So we need to try to understand the young people better. Yeah, listen to them. What do they say? And then see if we can help them somehow. This is not about bringing to the Dhamma because of our concern. It's about bringing to the Dhamma out of compassion. Any comments on that? How to bring people, young people to the Dhamma? Recruitment drive. Okay, all right. Okay, recruitment drive. Okay. On where do you do that recruitment drive? Instagram, TikTok, yeah, something like that. Short videos, 10-second videos. The Dhamma is the best. Yay! And then, okay, and then, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Recruitment conference, big one. There is a conference coming up in Poland, November 2026. Are you going to come to Poland? Yeah, come to Poland. I'm going to be there. Ajahn Brahm will be there. Lots of people will be there. It's going to be a big conference. It's going to be, they have a conference hall over 2,000 seats, and most of the seats are already sold out. There are a few seats reserved from people from overseas, so if you want to come, you can probably make it. Conference. Yeah, in Poland, probably quite a few young people will come as well. Lots of interest in the Dhamma over there, surprisingly. More interest over there than over here, perhaps, which is kind of remarkable. What? Nature camp. Okay. Yeah. Dhamma nature. Yeah. Slip in the Dhamma. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Good. So we are already kind of getting some people have already started thinking about this. It's great. All right, dear Ajahn. Last question for the night. You spoke about the 3 characteristics of a wise person. I exhibit those 3 characteristics. Yay! But I do not yet feel the pleasure and happiness as written in the suttas. What can I do to be more at peace with myself? All right, so the 3 characteristics are basically the good actions by body, speech, and mind. Yeah, and remember that exhibiting these 3 characteristics is quite profound. Yeah, it is not an easy thing to exhibit these things. To really have that full compassion and love and good qualities at all times, and the full depth of those qualities is hard. And the reason why you're not kind of experiencing maybe the joy and happiness, because it's not deep enough yet. You have to deepen it even more. Yeah, in your daily life, treating people with kindness, with compassion, with understanding. And as you do that more fully, more completely, maybe doing some metta meditation, to bring your mind up to a new level and all these kind of things. As you do that, it will work. The Buddha says it will work. Do you trust the Buddha or not? If you trust the Buddha, then carry on and you will eventually get there. That's kind of the point. And so you just have to carry on. You have to ask yourself how you can do even better. You can ask yourself how you can have compassion for that boss who is incompetent, right? I'm not sure if it was the same person, but it looked like similar handwriting. So I'm just making guess. I'm not reading anyone's mind. I'm just making assumptions based on handwriting. So remember that, have compassion for everyone. Don't judge anyone. Don't be angry with anyone. And as you do that, you start to develop qualities that are very, very profound and beautiful. And then you will, things will come together in the right way for you as a consequence of that. Okay, so according to the schedule, we still have 10 minutes. So are there any further questions or comments anyone would like to make? There is. Okay.
Ajahn, is it written anywhere in the Sutta? What is Buddha's last thought before he died?
His last thought is Vayadhamma Sankara Appamadena Sampadeta.
What does it mean?
Don't understand? Really? Wow! This is basic Buddhism. Yeah? This is kind of this is the last words of the Buddha. And his last words are very likely to also be his last thought, because after that, no point of thinking anymore. Yeah, so the Buddha doesn't think. And so Vayadhamma Sankara means all phenomena have the nature to end. Appamadena sampareta means something like carry on with heedfulness. Carry on with heedfulness. Yeah? Heedfulness. Like carefulness, with wisdom, with wise attention. Vaya dhamma sankhara. All phenomena have the nature to end. Carry on with heedfulness. Yeah, that's the last word of the Buddha. And what that means is that everything is impermanent. Everything is unreliable in the world. Everything is uncertain. There is nothing to hold on to. And because there's nothing to hold on to, don't hold on. And the way to do that is to practice well. Appamadena is this beautiful word that means heedful. Be heedful. Heedful means like to be careful. Heedful means to be circumspect. Heedful means to think properly before you do things. That's what heedful means. Sampadeta means like carry on, practice on in this way. Because everything in the world is uncertain and unreliable, we cannot afford to hold on to anything. But we still hold on, and that's why we will suffer in the future. So the only way to get out of that is to practice well. This is the word of the Buddha. This is kind of summarizes the whole Buddhist teaching in 4 words. And summary, right view. The right view is everything is impermanent. And then the Noble Eightfold Path, the way out of it, is summarized in practice with heedfulness.
Another question. Ajahn. Why do people say that before a person passes on, the last thought must visualize the Buddha? How is that connected to the person's, thinking of their good deeds versus going to a better place?
Who says that you must visualize the Buddha? Did the Buddha say that?
You see, Ajahn, you must understand, I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
So I come with lots of conditions.
Lots of conditioning, okay.
Lots of conditions of Mahayana, Taoism, and all that, so all jumbo up.
Okay.
Right? So today, I come with the intention to know more.
Okay, good. So someone has said this to you. You can't remember who, but someone has said this to you. Somewhere during this long life of 60 years, someone has conditioned your mind to think that you must think of the Buddha before you die. That's what you say.
They say that my last thought must be a Buddha, so I must visualize it very well.
Can you control that, do you think, your last thought?
I would think that if I die happy, then I can see the Buddha.
You can see the Buddha, okay. So, but the thing is, what is the last thought anyway? Is there a last thought? When does that happen? When is the last thought? Okay, so let me explain. Instead of asking you impossible questions and naughty questions.
Ask the ignorance.
So I would say that I think it's basically a good idea, but it depends on your relationship with the Buddha. So the idea is that when you think about the Buddha in the right way, you feel at peace and you feel happy because you're thinking about the Buddha. That's kind of the idea. And so if you can think about the Buddha, it will abolish any bad thoughts you may have, any ill will or greed or sadness you may have when you die. That can be abolished by thinking about the Buddha. And so that is the idea behind that saying. However, it can be difficult to do that. Because sometimes maybe the way you die is in a funny way. Maybe you die suddenly in an accident. You have no time to think about the Buddha. Suddenly you're just dead. Oh, I'm dead now. What happened there? The Buddha. Oh, I forgot about thinking about the Buddha, but I'm dead anyway. and so part of the problem is that dying is not just a moment. There is no last thought. Dying is like a process. It happens gradually and slowly. And so, this life kind of gradually comes to an end. Gradually you let go of the body. As you let go of the body, you go into an intermediate existence between lives. You stay there for a while. You don't know how long, a few days, a few weeks or whatever. And eventually you get reborn. Where in all of that is your last thought moment? It's very hard to say. It's just a long process. And that process is driven in large part by all the actions that you have done in this life. They will drive that process. You will review your life. You will judge yourself whether you lived well or not. So yes, it is helpful to remember the Buddha, but it's more But by far the most important thing is how you live your life in this life. That will be the main driver that determines where you get reborn. You will think back, you will review the life, you will judge yourself, and if you see that you have lived well, you will be very happy with yourself. That is the most important thing of all. And one of the best ways of dying is, as you are dying, you have a very profound meditation object. Could be the Buddha, but maybe even better is the breath or something like that. And then as you die, the nimitta arises in the mind. Yeah, one of these kind of beautiful signs of the mind, like a sun or something coming up in your mind. If your meditation is deep, you get this kind of lights appearing in the mind. And then you can go into that nimitta, go into that light in the mind, and as you do so, you get reborn directly through that light, and that can be a very, very profound experience. That is one way of doing it. But that depends, again, on living really well in this life. This will only happen if you live really, really well. The danger that some people seem to think that, if I have the last thought moment is thinking about the Buddha, or the last thought moment is not to be angry, be careful with the last thought moment, otherwise you're in trouble. It's not enough. That is only a tiny little thing about this whole process. How you live now is far more important than all of that. So don't worry too much about the last thought moment. Worry about what you are doing now. That is what really matters. Okay, there you are. Hello, Stuling.
Happy evening, Ajahn.
Happy evening.
Why the Mahayana is so determined, say you will get reborn after 49 days?
Why they say that?
I don't think it's in the Sutta.
It's not in the Sutta, but maybe sometimes people get reborn after 49 days. Maybe they saw one person who got reborn after 49 days. They say, you get reborn after 49 days, and that became kind of another Mahayana Sutta. Maybe something like that. So I think it is possible to be reborn after 49 days, or maybe it means that you get reborn after maximum 49 days, or maybe that's the average, or maybe that's the normal time. Yeah. So it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not necessarily quite right either. Yeah, somewhere in between maybe. Yeah, neither wrong nor 100% right. Something like that. That's my guess. Yeah. The Tibetan Bardo teaching, right? Yeah, exactly. 49 days. Yeah, yeah.
Ajahn, we are not there yet. How to experience the Dhammaloka world?
The Dhamma.
Do we have a video or anything to experience it?
Experience what?
Dhammaloka world.
Brahmaloka world. Do we have a video? Yeah, no, you have to kind of go by the experience in the suttas. Yeah, you have to go by the Brahmaloka is equivalent to the jhana states, and so go by the experience of the jhanas. And it says in the jhanas, it says that. I got a sign up saying my battery is running low. Okay, so I'm going to have to turn off my PC. Can we stop? We're going to finish in 1 minute anyways, that's okay. 1 minute is going to be gone. So, if you look at the description of the jhanas, they will give you a feeling for what is going on. Yeah, so bliss, piti, happiness, sukha, one-pointedness of mind, being completely unified in mind, being completely tranquil and at ease and all of these kind of things. So that is what Brahmaloka is about. Full of light, no negative feelings or thoughts because you're completely one-pointed, complete satisfaction, all of these kind of things. That is what it's about. Anyway, my laptop is about to conk out, so let's call it a day. So it's very nice to be here again and to be with all of you. It's always nice to talk about Dhamma. Let us end the day as we usually do by paying homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sanghas. We'll do the Arahang Samma Sambuddha together.